As a parent of two, one of my biggest goals is to make sure that my kids have opportunities that I never had. And one of the best ways to do that is to save money for their future. Whether it's college, a house, or starting a business, having those funds set aside for them can make a huge difference. So 3 months after my daughter was born, I opened up a UGMA custodial account for her. And we just had another child, a boy, and I just did the same for him. So after considering the UTMA custodial account and also a 529 plan, I landed directly on the UGMA account because it really fit my needs and my future needs as well. Now, if you're here to decide if the UGMA account is right for you, I'm here to help. So I sat down with my AI assistant, Tiara, to make sure that I got the absolute best information and overview of the UGMA account and all of its pros and cons, etc., so that you can make an informed decision. So here's how that conversation went. Hey, Tiara, I'm looking to open up an investment account for my child and want to understand everything there is to know about the UGMA custodial account. Can you help me out?
Sure. Let's make sure we get you all you need to know to make an informed decision. The UGMA account is designed to hold and protect assets for a minor until they reach the age of majority, which is typically 18 or 21, but can be different depending on the state. At that point, they have full control over the assets.
Jumping in here, the assets can include cash, stocks, bonds, or other securities. And there is another type of account called a UTMA account that we'll talk about a little bit later that can have different assets as well.
UGMA accounts are a great way to give financial gifts to minors without setting up a trust, which can be more complicated and expensive. Plus, they can offer some tax advantages, which we'll get into later.
So for me, I opened up my UGMA custodial accounts in Schwab because that's where I do a lot of my investing. And my idea is pretty simple. What I want to do is invest in long-term stocks a little bit, but mostly invest in index funds so that all that money that I'm putting in there, especially, in the beginning I put it in, then every month I put a little bit in, and I'm just gonna let compound interest do its thing and take my small amount of money and make it into a lot of money. One of my worries with the accounts was that my kids would get the money too early, because I remember when I was 18, 21 years old, and I didn't need tens of thousands or $100,000, right? That would have been bad news. But lucky for me, I live in Nevada. And because of that, I was able to push it out so that they will actually get this money, or this account, I should say, at 25 years old, which I think they'll be a lot more responsible then. Next, Tiara wanted to explain how these accounts actually work, which is definitely an important thing to know.
You can think of UGMA accounts as a financial holding space for a minor, managed by a custodian until the minor comes of age. The custodian is responsible for managing the account's assets. This includes making investment decisions, such as buying or selling stocks or bonds, and ensuring the funds are used in the best interest of the minor. The custodian has a fiduciary duty, meaning they must act in the minor's best financial interests. UGMA accounts are pretty straightforward, but it's crucial to manage them wisely. The custodian should aim to grow the account's value while considering the minor's future needs.
Fair points. So this is actually a lot like the video that I published just the other day about UTMA custodial accounts, but it is slightly different. For instance, the UTMA account can actually transfer real estate and fine art as well, if that's something that you need. And I'll link to that video at the end here so you can check it out if you're interested in that. But next here, I want to talk about the benefits of the UGMA account, which is obviously very important to understand.
One of the biggest perks of a UGMA account is the potential tax benefits. The first $1,250 each year of unearned income, like interest, dividends, or capital gains, is tax-free, and the next $1,250 is taxed at the child's tax rate, which is usually lower than the parent's rate. This can lead to significant tax savings. UGMA accounts offer a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can invest in. You can hold a wide range of assets, including stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and even cash. This allows the custodian to tailor the investment strategy to the minor's long-term goals. Unlike setting up a trust, which can be complex and costly, UGMA accounts are relatively simple to establish and manage. They don't require legal documents beyond the account setup, making them accessible for most people. Unlike some other savings accounts, UGMA accounts don't have contribution limits. This means you can deposit as much as you want, making it easier to save substantial amounts over time.
I think one of the biggest perks here is the tax advantages of this account. The fact that the first $1,250 of unearned income is not taxed and the next $1,250 is barely taxed is obviously a huge perk. Now, in terms of my strategy with it, and before I continue, I have to mention investing comes with risks. Make sure that you speak to a professional. This video is for informational purposes only. But for me personally, what I plan on doing is investing into dividend stocks or dividend funds. And the reason for that is because I am able to get those dividends and also the growth, but the dividends that will basically come in, we can reinvest them and I'll pay very, very little taxes on those. So now that you've heard the good about UGMA accounts, obviously it's not all positive. So let's hear the negatives about the account. And some of these things here are really important, so pay attention.
While UGMA accounts offer several benefits, it's important to be aware of their potential drawbacks. One significant downside is that UGMA accounts can affect a minor's eligibility for financial aid. Because the assets are considered the student's property, once they reach the age of majority, they can significantly reduce the amount of need-based financial aid the student might qualify for when applying for college.
Again, it's important to hear that me personally in Nevada, I'm able to push this out to where they are 25 years old, which basically means that they'll hopefully be finished with their bachelor's degree and possibly moving on to a master's degree if they decide to go that far. So just make sure that you check in your particular state what the situation is so that you make the right decision.
Once the minor reaches the age of majority, they gain full control over the account and can use the funds for any purpose. This means there's no guarantee the money will be used for its intended purpose, such as education or other long-term goals, and it's now their possession. You can't take it back. While there are initial tax benefits, the kiddie tax can apply to unearned income over certain thresholds, potentially leading to higher tax rates on that income. Additionally, the tax advantages are limited compared to some other savings vehicles, like 529 plans, which offer tax-free growth and withdrawals when used for qualified education expenses.
And I guess my biggest worry with these accounts is that when my kids are able to take them over, that they don't make the right decisions. And obviously, my hope is that when they are 25 years old, they are old enough to make a decision that would be a positive one for them, right? And maybe I'll throw a guilt trip their way if I think they're doing the wrong things. But the point is, that's a very long way away, so I'm not gonna stress myself out about it right now. Now, Tiara wanted to give an example of exactly how this would work in the real world as well. And I thought this was a good idea to show you how these numbers actually work out so you can kind of see it in action.
Imagine Sarah, a new parent, wants to start saving for her daughter Emma's future. Sarah decides to open a UGMA custodial account and deposits $10,000 into it. As the custodian, Sarah manages the account, investing in a mix of stocks and bonds to grow the funds over time. Over the years, the investments performed well, and by the time Emma turns 18, the account has grown to $25,000. At this point, her daughter Emma gains full control of the account and can decide how to use the money. She might choose to use it for college tuition, buy a car, or even to travel. At this point, it's her decision. Throughout the years, any dividends or interest earned in the account over the $2,500 threshold were taxed annually under the kiddie tax rules. However, the unrealized gains from the investments have not been taxed until Emma decides to sell some of the assets after taking control of the account.
So that makes it about as clear as it can be, and I think it's really clear to see why these accounts can be so powerful in the future. Granted, you have to hope that your kids are willing and able to do the right thing at 25 years old. But I know personally, at that age, I was reasonably mature, maybe not perfect, but reasonably mature, and I would have loved to have had that head start. So at this point, remember earlier how I mentioned that I had created a video about UTMA accounts? So I definitely recommend that you check that out here to learn more about them. Or if that doesn't sound like it's something you're interested in, you can go ahead and click right here, which is my most recent video. But before you go, please do me a favor and like this video so that YouTube will share it with others. And as always, make sure that you subscribe to unlock financial success one AI chat at a time. Thanks for watching.